Our guest today on Caribbeana is Professor Opal Palmer Adisa of the University of the West Indies, Mona campus in Jamaica. And welcome to our program. And I must say that with this new year, we must be looking for good things, especially when we are celebrating the event of a week of Kwanzaa. Welcome.
Yes, thank you so much, and Happy New Year.
Thanks.
One of the reasons why I've celebrated Kwanzaa for really the last 40 odd years, I first learned about it, I think, in 1979 when I went to California to go to graduate school.
Uh-huh.
And I immediately fell in love with it. One was because it had an African centered perspective.
Right.
Two, because of the principles. The seven principles of Kwanzaa that are celebrated from December 26th
Right.
through January 1st are fundamental principles for us as a people,
Right.
Black people diasporically, Black people on the continent, because we've all been victims of colonization.
Yes.
And what those seven principles do is allow us to look at ourselves and our lives and be reflective and to make important decisions about who we are, what we are, and how we want to go forward. And also fundamentally, it forces us, it invites us to be collective, to be supportive, to work together. For instance, the third principle, Ujima, is collective work and responsibility.
Yes.
And all of us come out of this agrarian society, agriculture society, where in order to yield enough crop for ourselves and our family, the society, we had to work collectively.
Right.
And so I am really, every day I say this is my favorite principle because, in fact, each of them is.
Right.
So we start with, so if we look at Kwanzaa as a blueprint, right? Let's look at
Yes.
Kwanzaa as a blueprint for living our lives
Mm-hmm.
for the rest of the year and certain goals that we want to work towards, right? So you might be hearing the noise. Um, so the first day of Kwanzaa, which is December 26th, talks about unity. Yeah, unity, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we need unity in the Caribbean. We need unity throughout the Black diaspora. We need unity in Africa.
Yeah.
Just imagine what would happen. And I love Mia Motley because of what I think she stands for and what she has been trying to do
Uh,
in terms of making us collectively as a society, as a Caribbean society, number one, but then linking up with the African society. Look at how we can unify ourselves and each other and the kind of joint work that we need to do in order to move ahead.
right.
Without unity, which I think is one of the big factors that has adversely impacted Caribbean and African nations, we're not going to go anywhere. We
Right.
have to learn to love each other.
Right. Right.
You know what I'm saying,
Right. Yeah.
Dan? We have to learn to trust each other. We
Yeah.
have to learn to understand that we can work together. Okay, we might be using the pyramid model,
Mm-hmm.
but I have been to the pyramids, and the top is not just for one person. The top is actually, because the pyramids are so massive, the top is actually a place where many of us can fit. And I think sometimes in the Caribbean, we don't understand that. And we always say we're like crabs in a barrel,
Right.
right?
Right.
But
Right.
let us look at how we can unify and how that will not only support us and our various respective islands, but how it will enrich us
Right.
so that we can leave a generational wealth for our children,
Right.
which
Right.
many of us have not been able to do,
Right. Right.
right? Many of us, we struggle, we work hard, and we're able at a certain point to enjoy a fairly decent life, but we're not really able to leave wealth for our children so that our grandchildren,
Mm-hmm.
right,
Mm-hmm.
knows from that their tuition to whatever college or university they want to go to is taken care of.
Right, right,
That
right.
our children know that they don't have to struggle like we struggle to buy a house, because we're going to give them the down payment because we have invested in ourselves and our society, and we understand the importance of generational wealth,
Right,
which
right,
is what others have over us.
right. So this,
So could that go ahead?
no, I was going to say that these attributes would certainly prepare us to embrace 2025.
Absolutely. Absolutely. For instance, the second day, Kujichagulia, self-determination. Most of us don't think about that. We're always reacting to what happens. What about if we put something in place? So rather than reacting,
Mhm.
we are proactive.
Yeah,
The
yes,
principles of Kwanzaa are principles to live throughout the year.
yeah,
Purpose, Nia, Kuumba, creativity, faith, which we all need, the last day of Kwanzaa,
yeah,
collective work and responsibility,
yeah,
economics, all of the foundations are there for us to live a life that is meaningful, a life that is supportive of each other, and a life that is successful. And I think that's what most of us want.
yeah.
So I embrace Kwanzaa, I embrace its principles, and I advocate others, even if you don't celebrate Kwanzaa, to just take some time to look at the 7 principles and to see how you can live those principles, because those principles will sustain you, will energize you, and will give you a platform to build a future that is meaningful and successful.
Yes, that's excellent, excellent, But, in these times, in 2025, many of us are stressed out with the futuristic look of what is to come. We don't know. Um,
Yes, there's a lot of stress and anxiety based on economy, based on potential wars overseas that are going to affect us. And I say this to my own children, and I say to people, I said, first of all, you just need to breathe. Be conscious of to breathe, not just up here, but from your lower abdomen.
right.
That's number one. Number two, leave TikTok and many of those social medias together, because they incite fear and confusion. Be very mindful, be very selective of the things you allow to occupy your mind. There's a
Yeah,
lot of things that are beneficial on social media, but most of us don't pay attention to those things. There
right.
are lots of education about ourselves and our country and our society and the achievements we've made that are readily available, but nobody looks at that stuff. So they can't even teach it to their children or the next generation. So the one way to alleviate stress is to get off many of those social medias for a while.
Right,
Two, to be very selective of what you watch and take in, because
right.
everything you watch and take in becomes is has to be sieved through your connectiveness, and it causes either joy or anxiety.
Right,
Pay attention to those things that bring you joy, that make you laugh. Pay
right.
attention and form friendships and sustain those friendships with people who make you laugh, not people who are gossiping and always negative and telling you, the boy, it ain't gonna work, no, I don't think you should do that. You don't need that. So a couple of ways to alleviate the stress is to be very mindful of who you associate with, to be very mindful of the things you allow to absorb your mind, to ensure that you have a quiet, safe space. And it might not be a room of your own, it might be a tree,
Right,
in the
right,
backyard or
right,
somewhere. But
right,
to
right,
ensure that you have those things. And I think, and then to live a meaningful life, if you don't know what your purpose is, to constantly say to yourself, what is my purpose? And to find your purpose and to live your purpose. I think that will help to alleviate the stress and will allow for a much more wholesome and joyful life. And that's what I want to wish everyone.
Thank you so much, Professor Palmer. And I wish you the same and Godspeed and be well. And we will be talking again. Okay?
Thank you so much, and I wish you the same.
All right.
Happy
Uh,
2025.
Thank you very much. Happy 2025. I've been speaking with Professor Opal Adisa Palmer of Jamaica, the University of the West Indies, Mona campus. This is Ron Martin. Caribbeana continues.